The Disney brand has become synonymous with family-friendly films, seldom crossing the line into anything that may be perceived as scary or upsetting. Disney Channel original movies are notorious for their Halloween fare, but even their spookiest films are rated G for general audiences. And when Disney Plus was first announced, many fans were thrilled to revisit the weird and forgotten Disney movies of their youths. Unfortunately, though, there are still some films that Disney has decided to keep in the vault after all these years. One of those films is the 1980 anti-fairy tale, The Watcher in the Woods. This fantasy horror movie is the story of an American family who moves into a British country house plagued by malevolent spirits, namely the ghost of the longtime owner's daughter who torments the new family's young daughter. Before you get too excited and think the House of Mouse made a bona fide slasher, know that while the film was definitely creepy, it was more in the vein of The Changeling or The Lady in White than, say, Friday the 13th. So how did this movie come about? Well, it's hard to remember a time when Disney wasn't the most dominant force in entertainment, but until the Disney Renaissance during the 90s, the studio really was riding the struggle bus. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Walt Disney Productions was doing their best to attract older audiences, as their family-friendly offerings weren't performing as well as they'd liked. This is the era that produced films such as Escape to Witch Mountain, The Island at the Top of the World, The Black Hole, and Down and Out in Beverly Hills. All of these are films that people frequently forget are Disney-made, mostly due to their more mature content. In 1980, Disney tried their hand at horror, and the result was the film adaptation of Florence Engel Randall's 1976 young adult gothic sci-fi novel, A Watcher in the Woods. Knowing their reputation for kids' movies, Disney actively insisted that small children not see the film, which only added to the film's allure. The homeowner in the movie is Mrs. Aylwood, played by Bette Davis, who had, at this point in her career, more than proven herself in hagsploitation horror films. The youngest American girl, Ellie, was played by Kyle Richards, just 2 years after her role in John Carpenter's Halloween. What starts out as a pretty standard haunted house movie slowly turns even creepier as Ellie's sister Jan discovers the town locals were screwing with dark magic during a solar eclipse. Thinking she solved the case, Jan decides to recreate the ceremony during another eclipse in the hopes it will bring Mrs. Aylwood's daughter back. Dancing with the dark arts is a bit much for Disney, but in 1980, they were hoping the film would be popular enough to help save their failing company. Sadly, The Watcher in the Woods received terrible reviews and only ran for a short time in theaters as a result. That said, critics have often hated horror movies, so take that reception with a grain of salt. Horror fans may even find a lot to like here. The film was shot in the same house used by Robert Wise in 1963's The Haunting, which adds an extra oomph of spookiness to those that know their haunted house movies. Sure, some of the special effects have aged like a glass of milk in the sun, but the storytelling and atmosphere are still surprisingly effective. In one particular moment, Jan slips into a pond and looks as if she's going to drown, and the scene elicits exactly the same sense of anxiety as that swamp of sadness scene in the Neverending Story.
Let go of me! Stop! You're drowning! Let go!
Despite the film's negative reviews, The Watcher in the Woods developed a cult following and was even given the made-for-TV remake treatment in 2017. Parents are frequently looking for transitory horror films to help bridge the gap between certifiable children's films to hard R horror. And in this sense, The Watcher in the Woods is a perfect film. If only Disney Plus would release the beast from the vault. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SlashFilm videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.